8th of March 2017, Unit 6 and Unit 7 pitch.
Hello, my name is Sean Daly.
My name's Emily Forster.
And today we are doing a pitch which is going to be an interactive short horror film, which is a psychological short horror film, and it's called The Stroll. The synopsis is that the plot is based around a 17-year-old boy named Steve, and he suffers with mental problems like hallucinations and voices, and he's gotten to the point where he doesn't really know what's real and what's not. Eventually, like through the plot, someone starts following him, but he thinks it's like his hallucination, so he doesn't really panic as much, and like as you go on through the film, you can like hear him saying, "Oh, it's just the voices, don't worry, it's all in your head," when actually it's not. And yeah, so that's our plot.
Okay, good.
The flowchart, so it starts with Steve in the office speaking to a psychiatrist about all of his paranoia and everything that's going on. Then it leads to Steve walking out of the college and walking into the forest with his headphones in to try and calm and think about what the psychiatrist has said. After this, it leads to him standing by a tree, which then will start with the two choices that come up. So choice one, he'll try to use his phone to text his friend so that he thinks someone's following him and everything. The phone actually dies and he tries to turn it on again, but it actually won't come back on. The other side is where he turns around and says to himself that it's just a voice in his head, nothing that is actually going on. But he then starts to run off in a panic, and that branches off to the next lot of choices. So one, he hides behind a tree. The other one is continue running. He hides behind a tree. Basically, he was standing behind a tree. The person stops running and looks for him because he can't see where he's gone. Then the killer hears a noise and then he runs off away from the scene. Steve then picks up anything that's actually around him and starts following the person. He then starts attacking him, and he will leave him either dead or badly beaten. And
Steve's going to leave the chaser dead or badly beaten.
Mm-hmm. And then the other side is the complete opposite, so he'll continue to run away. Then he trips up on a tree stump, but the person actually grabs hold of him, grabs a stone and starts beating him.
Right, okay, so we've decided to talk about the theory of equilibrium in our short horror film. At the start is obviously the equilibrium where everything's normal, but for our short horror film, the equilibrium is where he is talking to a psychiatrist about his problems and trying to sort them out. The next part is where it's disruption, so this is where something happens that affects the natural flow of everything being in order. For a short horror movie, this is where the voices of the guy starts following him and he starts going into a panic. Realization this is where the protagonist or the helper discovers that something is wrong. For a short horror film, this is where he discovers that he's being followed by someone, but doesn't know if it's real or not. Then it goes into the next part, which is restored order, this is where the protagonist and his helpers restore everything to its original form. For a short horror film, this is where the protagonist is confronted by the killer, and either depending on the choices that the audience has made, that the killer or the protagonist comes out on top, so who wins. And then the last part of it is where it's equilibrium again, where everything's back to normal, but for our short horror film, it's kind of hard to portray that because Steve might be dead or the killer might be dead, so the killer might run out on top, that nothing's in like order again.
But a new equilibrium has been
created,
hasn't it?
equilibrium has been made.
Yeah.
For our idea of planning, we decided to, in a way, talk about the problems of mental health, like, secretly, because many people, like, around the world suffer with, like, hallucinations and voices, and many people that, like, if it's, like, really hard on them, they can't tell which is real or not, and they might, like, start having a panic, and they might having fits or whatnot. It was also useful in the way that we decided to talk about it in a horror movie, is because in our short horror film that it's gotten so bad that it's like expressing the way of how bad it is if it's like on an extreme level, and so the audience would go and understand like how to like see if it's a problem or not, and if they can like try and sort it out. Obviously not by killing the person, but yeah.
So inspirations, we didn't actually watch, neither me or Sean didn't watch the movie Black Swan, but after looking at the research and seeing locations, Black Swan's based on someone who actually has two different sides after the stress of being the main ballerina has actually got to her that badly that she's having to decide and having the audience decide what's real and what isn't. So it'd be like including the hallucinations, voices and everything like that.
Okay, for our target audience, a private audience is based around the age of 16 to 19-year-olds. We chose this because it is a mature enough audience to be able to like click on with any like problems and the messages that we're trying to portray to the audience. For socio-economic status, because age range is 16 to 19, they will be students or just about starting work. For gender, we decided to obviously have it as both because we're both like, I don't know, it's useful. For ethnicity, to be portrayed to all because we're obviously going to use all ethnicities in our short horror film to not make it.
Mental health effects.
Yeah, and mental health effects like. So if someone else is like having problems, they can kind of give their knowledge about it. For psychographics, it's aspirers because like some people, like let's just say they would want to be like doctors or something, they could be watching this and then understand about the problems that people with hallucinations and voices have, and can maybe seek out a way to help them. For a secondary audience, is like 20 and above, so it's more of a mature audience. So like this could become from like experienced doctors and like anyone else that could like possibly see it as pretty good. For a socio-economic status, this will still be an E because since there wouldn't be like any blood, I don't think, in the short horror film, which is kind of bad because you know it's a horror film. It's just because it's based around students. For our genders, I'd say it's mainly for a secondary. It's mainly male. Orientated because of like since it's mainly males that are acting in the short horror film, it's kind of like portraying that only one male has the problem, so it's only like talking about his problems, so he doesn't really see if any females have the problem. The ethnicity again is all, like as I said before, and the psychographics will be reformers, so for the production mood board, it would be normal and natural lighting, so like because it'll be mainly played outside in the forest area, but there'll be the first scene where he's in like an appointment with his psychiatrist trying to get medication. The location is mainly set near a forest to like portray the feel of like suspense and not knowing what's going to happen next. For props, it's like everyday items, so like phones, bags, headphones that would like create an effect. The headphones would be a big part in our short horror movie because of the reason that at the start you would hear like Beethoven, which would be like dimmed down, and then as soon as he puts his headphones on, it would like then you'd hear it properly. His style would be like normal clothing, except for the psychiatrist. Like the psychiatrist would be in smart clothing, while Steve and the killer would be in everyday clothing.
So the sources, obviously the same props and headphones. Like, the props will mainly be used by the main character that we've listed here, but there are some that we haven't actually listed, which will be used by either Steve, the killer, of the psychiatrist, so books for the psychiatrist. So I'd be so Emily Forrest would be the psychiatrist, Sean would be the killer, and Callum would be Steve. So the cast of crew would be Emily and Sean, because there's only two of us, and that may lead to a problem when filming. Locations would be the college, so an office, and a forest, which is within distance to the college. Schedule, so obviously 9th of March we'll be doing our test shots to see if there are any problems that we need to sort out before we start filming. 14th, so we'll be shooting two of the scenes in the forest, so I'd be some of the choices and Steve actually walking into the forest. 15th would be shooting our office scene with psychiatrist, and the 16th would be the last three scenes, so that'll be the choices and everything else that's going on.